Today, we're going to be breaking down the $120 million wide receiver, Amon St. Brown, and we're going to be taking a look at some of his best route running clips from his time with the Lions, his time at USC, and why he is definitely worth the money that they are paying him in the contract they gave him. So this first video, or this first clip I say we should look at, is going to be this dig route versus DB who's lined up in outside shade press. Does a great job getting skinny, creating a bigger throwing window for Jared Goff, and then obviously making this catch. So let's talk about it. So pre-snap as a wide receiver, you always want to come up with a pre-snap process, and our pre-snap process is determined by where this DB is lined up based on his leverage and based on the distance he has between myself. So this DB is lined up in outside leverage. How you can tell is you take a look at the midline of this DB. If the midline of the DB is even with like the wide receiver's outside shoulder, that means he's outside leverage. If the midline of the DB is even with the DB's inside shoulder, that means he's inside leverage. So the reason why this DB is playing outside leverage is because St. Brown has a reduced split. A reduced split means that he's lined up closer to like his right tackle, or his left tackle in this case, in a sense, and they're in this like tight formation. So a DB is not expecting a wide receiver to cut his split down to run an inside breaking route. And if he is, he's going to have safety help to the inside or linebacker help to the inside. But his goal, being outside leverage, is to not let the wide receiver get to the outside. So St. Brown off the line of scrimmage comes out and he attacks this DB's leverage. The best way to get separation off the line of scrimmage is make this DB think we are going where he doesn't want me to go. And his responsibility, and we know this based on how he lines up pre-snap, is to protect the outside. So we have to threaten him outside. We got to give him some type of move, making it look like we're trying to release to the outside to get him off that platform and move him. So now when I take my inside release, I could do something called getting skinny. So getting skinny is something that you see, wide receivers like Justin Jefferson, Antonio Brown, back when he played Devontae Adams, do a great job of, and that's essentially running tight to this DB to either do something called restack or to be able to lean into him and just give your quarterback a bigger throwing window, right? So he attacks him, and when he gets past him to get skinny, you have to understand as a wide receiver that hand contact off the line is not that complicated. When it comes to beating a DB's hands in press, you have to figure out what release you're trying to take and beat the hand that prevents you from taking that release. He's not even worried about this outside hand. He's trying to take an inside release. He's attacking this DB's leverage outside, take the inside release. So he's just going to chop this hand, and that allows him to get hip to hip with this DB and run tight to him. Because this play concept, you guys, what we have is we have my number one wide receiver right here, number 8, running like a deep skinny post, and then we have a dig. The read key defender is going to be this defender. Now, if St. Brown attacks this DB's leverage and then takes this inside release, but he continues to drift inside and almost run away from the contact, the route spacing is off. One defender is going to be able to cover both routes. So you have to get skinny to get back on your route path to give the quarterback a window and give him an easier read, because this is his read key defender. So runs tight to him, gets skinny, pushing up vertical, and then puts the brakes on a dime. And now Jared Goff has a clean window. Accurate ball is going to be delivered. Well, it's a little bit low, so I shouldn't say the most accurate ball, but it makes it easier for the quarterback to throw an accurate ball. He's got a clean window, a clean read, and that's what we call a quarterback-friendly route. And there are countless numbers of examples of this that we're going to be breaking down throughout this film today. So this is a great first router to start us off. This is a great job attacking the DB's leverage because he's outside shade. Best way to get him to move, make him think we're going where he does not want me to go to create more space to the inside. So St. Brown is going to be at the top of the screen here. Same thing, he's going to be lined up out of the slot in this clip. Now, before we break this down, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you're watching this video and you would like a daily off-season schedule to use to improve your route running, your press releases, your hands, and specific gym exercises you could do, check out that very first link in the description below for our elite wide receiver training package. It's a 2-month-long daily schedule. Like Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, with route running on-field drills. We give you a video example of each drill. We break down the exact sets and reps to do, and we put it into a schedule for you. Plus, we combine that with a 2-month gym workout schedule for receivers. So all the specific gym exercise receivers should do to get faster, improve their explosiveness, their balance. We map it out, sets and reps. Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, etc. And we also throw in a 4-week speed development workout plan to help wide receivers get faster, because we know how important that is. So guys, if you want some more information on our elite wide receiver training package, check out that very first link in the description below. Again, very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. So now we're taking a look at St. Brown at the top of the screen here. So he's going to be running like a 10-yard out, right? And so anybody that knows anything about football knows that a 10-yard out is a timing route for the quarterback. Now, the issue is that when we're running this 10-yard out of the slot, the quarterback has a little bit of space, right? But we're obviously also lined up on the left hash, so we don't have a ton of space. So he's going to be facing a DB who's lined up in something called catch man. Catch man is where a DB is sitting maybe like 3 to 5 yards off. And essentially what he's trying to get St. Brown to do is to run around him so he could get hands, reroute him, or squeeze him to the sideline so the quarterback quarterback doesn't have any room to lead him on this 10-yard out. It's a smaller window. Remember, we have to run quarterback-friendly routes, and that's what they're looking for, especially in the NFL these days, because, again, quarterbacks are so talented. If you just give them a throwing window, they will get the ball there. So let's play this full speed. So he comes out, he attacks DB's leverage, but again, pay attention to how he gets skinny. Same concept we were talking about. So anytime that we have a DB who's giving us some space, guys, we have to close the space. That's why he's playing catch technique in the first place. They call it catch technique because DB is literally trying to catch us and get hands on us and reroute. That's why he's playing like that. That's why he's not walked up on the line of scrimmage and press. He's playing in catch because he wants St. Brown to come off the ball and think, oh crap, he's got this distance for me. I'm just going to try to run around him. Like, let's say, for example, he had to run like a post route to the inside right here. If he just tried to run around this DB to the inside, that DB's going to get hands and he's going to reroute him to the inside towards this safety help. So anytime that I get this catch technique, I got to close the space. I got to eat up the cushion. I got to bring the line of scrimmage to the DB, give him a move to the inside, release to the outside. And again, look at the hand technique. He's only beating the hand. That's going to prevent him from taking an outside release. So he's not even worried about this DB's inside hand. He's worried about the outside hand. He attacks him, gives him a move inside, swat the outside hand. That allows us to get outside, and we want to run hip to hip with the DB. One of the common mistakes receivers will make is they'll do this. They'll attack the leverage. They'll give this DB a move to the inside, but at this point, they run away from the contact. So they take this really wide angle, and then they break to the sideline. You have to give the quarterback room, you guys. So he gives him a move, swats the hand, and runs tight to him. We want to get hip to hip, so when I break this thing off, we give the quarterback room to throw us open. On any outside breaking route, out route, a comeback route, a corner route, even a fade route, you got to give the QB room. That is called running a quarterback-friendly route. And every route he runs is a quarterback-friendly route, and that's why they have such great chemistry, and he puts up such great numbers in this offense because you got to make it easier on your quarterback. We're only as good as our quarterback as a wide receiver. So now let's take a look at this third example here from Amon-Ra St. Brown in college. So this is some practice tape that was released a little while back, and then it kind of resurfaced on Twitter the other day, or X the other day. And so I want to break down this route because I think it's a very technically sound route, and again, a quarterback-friendly route. So he's going to be facing a look called off-man coverage. So off-man coverage is man-to-man coverage, but the DB is going to be playing about, like, I would say, like, anywhere from, like, 7 to maybe 10 yards away, right? And he's going to have a shade. So nothing changes from a wide receiver when we have off-man coverage. It's still man-to-man. We still need a pre-snap process. I need to be thinking about how I'm going to be running the route based on the DB's distance from me, which is 7 to 8 yards, and then his leverage, which is whether he's inside shade, outside shade, or he's head up right in front of me. So when a DB is lined up inside shade like so, we know that he is trying to take away the inside route. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be running a dig route right now. And the dig is going to be at 10, and we got a DB who's sitting at about 8, right? Inside shade, 8 yards off man coverage, and we have to run a dig route at 10. So if he's inside shade, guys, we can't just stem him to the inside. That's one of the common mistakes that a lot of wide receivers will make on this. They just like, okay, I'm going to attack him. I'm going to stem inside. I'm going to go right at his midline, and hopefully he backs up, and then I'm going to cut in front of him, guys. My bad. Sorry about that. So we can't do that because the second we start to attack that DB's leverage, as we know, remember we talked about it when he's an outside shade press. I attack his leverage outside. What's he going to do? He's going to keep his leverage. He's taught, don't let us go there. So the second we start to stem inside, that DB's going to keep that leverage, and then my dig route's going to run right into him. So we have to split this defender into two. We have to attack his outside hip and his outside shoulder, and the goal is to get him to flip. And this is something all great route runners have to be able to do, and that's a concept called selling vertical. We want to make it look like a fade route because, again, we got to give this quarterback room to throw me open. Let's say, for example, let's choose a simple concept. Let's say St. Brown's running this 10-yard dig, and let's say the slot receiver has this 8-yard dig. If you get rerouted way inside and your dig is on top of the slot, guys, that's terrible spacing. Remember, one defender can guard 2 routes. So what we have to do is we got to stay on my route path. So we attack this outside shoulder. Now, this is much easier said than done. A lot of receivers try to do this, and they make crucial mistakes on this stem that we're going to talk about, and this DB doesn't open up his hips. The goal is to get him to open up the gate, quote unquote. Flip his hips to the opposite end zone. We put the brakes on, and we slip under him to give the quarterback a clear throwing lane, right? So he comes off the ball. I want you to pay attention to 3 key areas. 1, his speed. 2, his stride frequency, and 3, his body language frequency. So when you come off the ball, guys, if we're going to threaten this DB with a fade, we got to run hard. He's putting his head down, right? He's running as hard as he can because that makes that DB think going vertical. Now, the other thing we have to keep in mind is we want to keep my stride frequency. There are 2 things that a DB is looking for, a change in your stride length and then a change in your body language. So a lot of receivers, because they're not comfortable cutting just right on a dime like this off of 1 foot, and that's another discussion. There are a lot of drills to do for that, a lot of exercises exercises that you could do to be more comfortable with this. But because a lot of receivers are not comfortable doing this, right before the break point, they have these really long strides for about 5 yards. And then when they get to about 8 yards, they start taking real choppy steps and slow down. DB sees that, he's just going to sit. We're not going to get him to open up his hips. Now, another thing guys will do, because they're trying to slow themselves down, almost subconsciously at times, is right before the break, they will raise their chest up, raise their chin up in the air, and then break, especially when they have to drop their hips because they're trying to drop so low. Guys, the frequency, that means that your strides and your body language have to look the exact same. From the snap of the ball, it's got to look the same all the way till the break point. And that's how that DB doesn't know. Everything is a fade until it's not a fade. And if we can make this DB believe that we're going deep with my speed, my stride, my body language, that's going to get us separation. All great route runners have those 3 phases down. Obviously, there's a lot of change of direction element that goes into this. But the speed, the stride, and the body language is what gets you separation in this situation. So you have to be able to do this if you want to be an elite wide receiver. And St. Brown shows this time and time again throughout many clips of film with the Lions, at USC, and throughout his entire playing career.